What?
What are you getting?
I don't know. Mike and supposed to Nick pick me up.
Oh, alright.
Alright?
Yeah.
Alright, we'll come say hi when we're done.
Yeah. Alright, go ahead. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or morning, depending on which time you're watching this. Bill here again with Mad Max. Sorry for the wait. A lot going on in my life. But I'm back, and today we're going to be speaking about the Sig P320. I once upon a time did a video on this when I first got it, and it didn't come out quite how I wanted it, so we're revisiting it some years later. But before we start, just some housekeeping notes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at MadMaxGuns. Put it down here. Check out TargetTamers.com. Doing some work with them. Got some cool stuff coming down in the future. But let's get into it. So what we have here is a clear Sig P320. The reason I got into this was probably the same reason a lot of people got into it, because they heard that the Army got the new contract for it, replacing the Beretta M9, and I thought they were going to be hard to come by. And I think I ended up being pretty wrong on that, because I pulled the trigger kind of early, no pun intended, and their availability never went anywhere. A lot of people are having issues when they first came out with them being drop safe. And I didn't have any problems with it. I never dropped it, but that's neither here nor there. When I bought it, I think it was in the high 4s, low 5s range. I'm not sure. The MSRP right now for this plain P320, we're going to get into a little bit more of the other stuff in a minute, but for this plain P320, they retail right around $500. For the military versions, the M17 and the M18, the M17 being the full-size guy like this, and then the M18 being a carrier version, which I believe has the same size grip and a shorter barrel and slide. Those are both in the $600 range, and there's so much stuff that goes on with the P320s with their modularity, which we're going to hit on in a second, that even Wilson Combat is making parts for them. But the Sig Legion goes all the way up to like $1,000. There's an X5 in between. But what's neat about these, and the main thing that I think is why they won the contract over Glock and the Beretta M9A3, is its modularity. This can be tore down to just the fire control group, which is the serialized part, and you can buy new barrel slides and frames for it, and you could make an absurd amount of different handguns with this, because it comes in 9, 40, 45, Sig 357, and I could be wrong on this, but I think they make it in 10mm now as well. So all you do is you break it down, which is pretty easily. Lock the slide back. There's a little lever here that you roll forward, comes apart, and then you would take this pin out, and then the fire control group pops out. I'm not going to deal with that right now. But yeah, so once you pop out the fire control group, you then have just the trigger, which is the weapon, and that can drop into any combination of the frame, barrel, and slide you want. So essentially, they come in a compact slide, a subcompact slide, a full size, a carry, and then so you got 4 times 5 different calibers. That's like 20 different guns that you could do or more, depending on different other combinations that you could get with one fire control group. Granted, the barrels and like in the barrel frame and all that, you're paying as much as a whole gun costs. So take that for what it's worth. But it is a pretty neat idea. And then Sig's even making like sub guns that you can drop this in, a full size like AR platform almost, like a modern sporting rifle, assault rifle, whatever you want to call, that you could drop that trigger in and you got yourself a full size weapon. But I believe that's why it ended up winning over the Glocks. And politics are definitely involved because Sig is winning the contracts on absolutely everything now with the Army, whether it be optics, handguns, light machine guns. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sig MCX starts becoming like a major cornerstone of military weaponry. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, it's modular, and if you've ever seen my Faro Concepts FC PC version 5 video, you know I love modularity. But now they're coming with slide cuts up top here for optics. So their optics, right? The Legion comes with the optic on it, but there's so many different options with this where it's crazy. You're really just going to have to go onto Sig's website and drive down the rabbit hole of what the P320 offers. But in the stock old boy that I got here, they come with nice sights out the box. It comes actually with an outside the waistband holster, which is cool. 2 magazines, kind of weak. Glock comes with 3. But yeah, for the full size, it is probably one of the most comfortable handguns I've ever put in my palm. It has like a little bit of like grip tapey feel in the frame here, but it's not overly aggressive. Like my CZ is a little aggressive on the front and back, but this just feels so good and like nice and rounded. If you ever held any full size Sig, like the 226 or whatever, you kind of will know what I'm talking about. But it is a little top heavy, and so I guess now we're going to talk about a couple little things that I don't like about the way it comes out the box. A little top heavy. Some of the new frames that come out for it are a little more bottom heavy and like will help you out for competition or whatever. But so you can, if you don't have a good grip, you're going to risk or be at risk for having a little flop back when you're shooting. It might look like you're a limp wrist, and nobody wants to be a limp wrist, you know what I'm saying? But if you have a good grip, you know, you do your 60-40 and hold it well, you'll be fine. You just got to drive the shit out of the gun. But it has a nice, more vertical grip angle than a Glock. So if you're more into the 1911 grip angle, this is going to be more your style, and it feels more natural than the Glock. I've said before with the Glocks, I like them because it gives you more of a sense of urgency when you drive the gun forward. So you like recoil management, but we're not talking about Glocks, we're talking about the Sig. Just a comfortable gun. Very accurate. I've made shots out to 150 on a 2/3 size IPSC. I don't want to say like regularly, but I would, with a full mag loaded, I could hit it more than a few times. 85 yards, I had in the beginning of this video. It's doable. Obviously, it's just an accurate gun. It's going to be more accurate than the shooter. Just like 9 out of every 10 guns is going to be more accurate than the shooter. But another little thing that I didn't like, that I actually really didn't like, the stock trigger that comes with it's like rounded, and if you get sweaty palms like myself, it's just you start booger hooking it and then you start yanking it. Apex makes a little drop-in trigger. It's flat blade. It doesn't change anything about you're not changing the springs or anything, you're just changing the actual trigger itself. And it's a nice flat blade trigger. They put them on some, like, if you've noticed in like the Legion or the Wilson Combat, they all have flat blades or upgrade triggers because the stock trigger sucks. But yeah, this is nice, comfortable. But yeah, I mean, I love this gun. I don't shoot it nearly as much as I should anymore. When I first got it, I painted it because I went on a kick where I just painted absolutely everything. And it's worn pretty nice, which is kind of cool. But another thing that you should know or be aware of before you buy is that there's no safety at all. No trigger safety, no grip safety, no thumb safety on the regular P320s. When you go down the road of the military style ones, the M17, M18, they both have thumb safeties. I believe they're ambi, which is kind of cool. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the slide lock, slide release, whatever you want to call it, it is ambi. So if that is something you're looking for in a gun. Metal mags, kind of expensive to stock up on. I believe they're around like the $40 mark, $45 mark each. But pretty much anything you buy that's not a Glock or an AR, mags are going to be well on the pricey side. But what we have is the most modular handgun probably in history. And that could be cool, or you might not want to deal with it. I haven't changed anything on this or bought anything extra for it except for the trigger. Probably won't ever. Like I said, when you want to do all the frame swapping and everything, you're going to spend more than a new gun cost. But if you're in a weird state like New Jersey where it takes you like 2 months to get approved to be allowed to buy a gun, it might pay. And sometimes if you don't get the gun in time, the whole process will start over. But yeah, those gun laws are dumb. Any real gun laws are kind of dumb, but neither here nor there. Places like that, or guns where, any state where it becomes a pain in the ass to buy a handgun, you probably would like to look at one of these because your options will be endless, and you can literally have as many guns as you want as long as you're willing to just pop out the fire control group. But I wanted this video to be short. It got a little long-winded, but in the end of the day, I really like this gun, and it definitely has a spot in the market. It does something that nobody else does, which is cool. And I shoot it well, so that's always a good deal too. If you got any questions about it, feel free to DM me on Instagram, drop a comment below. Make sure you like the video as always, and if you didn't like the video, as always, eat a dick. And if you made it this far in the video, make sure you check out my Patreon, patreon.com/MadMaxGuns. It's an easier way to support me and support the channel, let it keep growing. I got nothing else for you. I'll see you next time.